you begin to see codependent behavior surface. What is it that's causing this? So when we think of codependency, when I look at it from a yin and yang perspective, I mean, codependency means that with somebody you feel more whole, which then would reflect that internally you feel empty or without them. So there's a sense of emptiness coming from somewhere. There's a hole somewhere. It might be a 30% of emptiness and the 70% is fine. And maybe you feel 70% empty and 30% together when that person's not around. But there's a ratio of you feeling as though you're not complete energetically without that person being involved in your life. And in a lot of cases, it doesn't really matter if the person is really positive in your life or if the person is toxic. It's just that familiarity we have with the person. And I feel as though that is coupled, and I think that is coupled as well with a blockage of vision, because when you're operating from a place of emptiness in certain areas, and a lot of time people don't recognize that there is emptiness. They just think, oh, I just want to be with this person just cause. But it's like, what's drawing you to this person? One of the things I realized that when we think of toxic relationships, I mean, one common theme when we talk about toxic relationships is that the people don't leave. Like, there's people who get abused, they get beat up, they get cursed at, and there's people who are constantly dealing with the same issues that replay themselves. But the big question is, why don't you leave? And a big part of the reason of why you don't leave is because even though you feel empty, even being around that person to a degree, it's at least you feel alive. Versus when you're alone, it's even more empty. So you may feel 50% empty when you're with them because of all the negative things they do. But without them, you feel 70, 80% empty. So it's like, I'd rather have half of what, makes me feel like I'm connected than have, even less than that. But so the only way you could essentially leave a toxic or get out of a codependent situation is if there's a better situation for you outside of that relationship. I think the problem is people tend to look for somebody else to save the day. Like, a lot of people don't leave these negative relationships until they go so bad. And in a lot of cases, until there's a replacement. And then you find people in situations where they get out of a toxic, very bad relationship, and then they get with the new partner within like a month, maybe 2 months max, and they're back in a serious committed relationship. And that's a problem. You got to take your time. You got to give yourself some space to connect with you. The reality is, you should not be in a relationship until you feel whole, like at least 70% or more whole on your own. And to be honest, 100% whole. Like, that's really what it's about. Maybe if you're 70% and you find somebody that is 70%, you all can grow together. But if you find somebody that's 100% and you're at 70%, and you're not doing the work to get to 100%, I get it. I don't expect everybody to be at 100%, especially after leaving a negative situation or having codependent patterns. But you gotta understand that you have to be happy by yourself. And I know that's so hard for a lot of people. And for some people, it might be like, what do you mean? That's not hard. But for some people, that's one of the hardest things alive. It's like, hold on, you expect me to be 100% full and happy within myself? Like, if I could do that, I already would, right? But I want to first bring the awareness to you, because you can't get there unless you have an awareness of where you want to go. Your joy and peace is not going to come from another partner. It's going to come from you being whole, which is going to attract somebody. It's going to attract people that are whole as well, because like attracts like, right? But there's duality. It's also going to attract people that have 50% emptiness, that are looking at you to be the one to make them feel whole. And so in those situations, you don't want to end up in a scenario where somebody's vamping off you and vamping off your positive energy. Because now you'll be feeling high vibration. You'll be feeling happy when you're with yourself, learning things, doing things, exploring things. And then when you get with your partner, your vibration is going to get pulled down, because they're going to be vamping off your energy, because they will be kind of negative about something. They'll be frustrated about something, and they'll feel like, I need you to be here in order to resolve it. And what happens is they constantly need you to feel whole, but then you don't need them to feel whole. And then now we have an imbalance, right? And a good relationship operates off of the premise of a good balance. Both parties complement each other well and balance one another. So, I always think one of the most beautiful relationships are relationships where this person can be doing their thing here, that person can be doing their thing there. And then when they come together, it's like, boom, it's like a plus. Think about it, ideally your partner should be out there contributing to the world, filling up empty spaces in the world with the work that they do. So to have to do that and then come home with your partner when you want to relax and be at peace and at joy, and then next thing you know, you're arguing, you're doing this because one of the people are codependent, it becomes a draining situation.